It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
When I say property and casualty, that's a fancy way of saying insuring your home, your cars, your boats, your motorcycles. It's all the toys. You know, covering the house, the toys, and all the other things. You don't hear a lot of people talk about property and casualty, and so there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of hunger for information. So we're going to quickly try to go through this. The first one, what's the biggest asset most people have?
Usually it's their home, right?
Yeah,
what you live in.
So it makes sense quickly understanding because I think a lot of us take for granted when we go get homeowners insurance, we're like, yeah, my home's insured. What, is there anything you need to know about that? And here's
I call Jake from State Farm.
Yeah, you just call somebody and they give you a quote and you're like, okay, the mortgage company seems to be okay. I'm all right. But, you know, and then you hear about all these things going on with the fires, with all the flooding and all this stuff. And you're like, well, am I covered? I mean, how good of a shape are you really in? Because this is not one of those coverages you want to wait until something bad happens to go and critique the details of your policy. So let's kind of talk about this stuff. The first big one is understanding what do you actually get from your insurance? Meaning if something bad happens, if you had a fire or something that takes your house out, how are you going to be reimbursed or paid back on that? And here's some language you need to understand. There's actual cash value. That's, meaning that they have a stated policy value of what you're covered for. And you'll get, that's the maximum that they will provide. And they're going to still want documentation showing, hey, I had to spend this to replace the house, but you have a limit. If you do actual cash value, the limit is stated in your policy. Next, you have what's called replacement cost value. Somebody will make an analysis on the fair market value of replacement, and that's the limit of what you'll be paid. And then, of course, you have guaranteed or what's called extended replacement costs. This is in the range of where you want to be, and let me explain why. And more than likely, you're going to get extended, not full guaranteed replacement. Whenever you see the word guaranteed, you know it means expensive because that means no matter what it costs to replace your house, the insurance company's going to pay. They don't give that away.
Sure.
So you might want to end up with like an extended replacement value where it's typical they give you a 20% to 25% above and beyond what the expert thinks it's going to cost to replace your house. Now, why would you want to go above what the expert, while nothing bad is going on, thinks it would cost to replace your house? Is because two things will happen. Unfortunately, bad things don't happen to just one person. It's not uncommon that we have weather things, whether it's the hurricane or a fire takes out, multiple homes.
Sure.
So all of a sudden you have a scarcity of resources. Everybody's trying to rebuild at the same time. Right. Well, you know what happens with supply and demand when everybody needs the same skilled workers and the same, concrete, bricks and wood. What happens to those costs? They go up.
They'll go up, yeah.
So it's nice if you have a cushion to where taking into account the scarcity. Second thing, your house burns down or you have some damage and it's time to replace it. And say you have, I grew up in this house, we had this Harvest Gold appliances. You don't even know what that means, Bo.
Couldn't even guess.
And my mom has replaced it now, but I'm just thinking out if you had an older house and you still had Harvest Gold, which is a color you could Google, and that's throughout the kitchen, you're probably going, when it comes to replacing, you go, I want to put granite in.
Might be
this
time to step away from
I'm going to put granite. I'm going to put stainless steel appliances. And those things are going to cost more than what you originally had. So it's nice if you have 20 to 25% built into it.
Okay.
So since I feel bad since I'm helping you spend your money, let's talk about a way that you can save some money on your homeowner's insurance. One of the first things you need to realize when you're looking at the replacement value is land doesn't get damaged. It doesn't go away. Meaning that, so if you paid $300,000 for your house, and does that mean you need to go buy $300,000 of insurance coverage?
Well, that makes sense, Brian. That's what I paid for the house.
Exactly. But the truth of the matter is probably $50,000 of your $300,000 purchase price is the land that your house sits upon.
All right.
Well, the house, the land doesn't go bad. You take a backhoe out there and you scrape off, voila, you got a brand new lot again. So you only need protection of $250,000, and maybe you want to add 20% to that number for, in case you had a scarce situation or all the things I talked about previously. So don't include the value of your land. So go and give a hard look of what the insurance is and then understand what the language of replacement value is on your property. Moving on to I guess we'll talk about premiums in a second, but
Sure.
an insurance we see all the time that it's not even successful, super wealthy people don't have is what's called umbrella coverage.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Bo,
one.
explain what that is.
Yeah, so what umbrella covers is exactly what it sounds like. It's insurance coverage that sort of, as an umbrella, covers all of your other policies. So your home, your auto, your boat, your personal liability. It really is the insurance that sits on top to make sure you're protected. So often we see folks who don't know about this, they don't have it. And what you don't realize is, while you think you may be covered, you may not be as covered as you'd like to be to protect both your current assets as well as your future earning potential.
Yeah, and what is umbrella? I always like it because it gives the visual. It sits on top of your homeowners. It sits on top of your auto coverage. And I'll give you a first world experience. We had a client, this is years ago. He's graduated college. It's crazy how time moves. But when he was in elementary school, there was a situation where the child of one of our clients had a bad judgment moment, threw a rock at a school bus.
Because that just makes all the sense in the world.
And it's a good kid, too. That's what's crazy. You hear this, you're like, wow, that's really bad behavior. Well, the rock unfortunately hit another child, caused a cut on the child. The child had to go, and everything turned out okay, but the child had a pretty big medical bill from, corrective measures and all this other stuff. You know what covered all the expenses of medical as well as the liability and everything else from the lawsuit that occurred from that event? Was the umbrella insurance.
And so I think that's an interesting point that I think we should dive in. So not only does umbrella insurance cover you, it covers members of your household. So if you have young kids in the household that decide they want to throw rocks at a school bus, it covers. But this is what a lot of folks don't realize, and we try to really encourage our clients to think through this. If you have children, I don't know, around the age of 18, 19, 20, that maybe are still in the house, but they're off at college, and they make less than ideal decisions, umbrella insurance will also protect you should there be some sort of liability claim while they're off at school.
So we like it. And you're asking, well, how much umbrella insurance do I need? I typically tell people to get, as much umbrella as what your estimated net worth is. And, a lot of you are like, wait a minute, $1 million, that's got to cost a fortune. No, you're going to be shocked that you can buy $1 million of umbrella insurance, probably less than $300.
Yep.
You can
$300 a year.
Yeah, $300. So, and a lot of you are going to be like, why do you say $300? And I'm telling you, it depends on where you live, who your insurance covers. Some of you are going to be able to get it for like $125, but then others, and I don't want you to go beat your agent up because it's over $125. I'm just saying, there could be a broad range of what this umbrella insurance is going to cost.
Now, depending on the insurance company, one thing you have to make sure of is sometimes in order for an insurance company to be willing to provide umbrella insurance, they want to make sure you have a base level of coverage elsewhere, meaning you can't go buy umbrella insurance and carry liability only on your automobile. They're probably not going to allow you to do that.
Or the lowest level. You can't have $50,000 of liability protection and then go buy $1 million umbrella. They're probably going to make you push those limits up to $500,000.
Exactly.
And make sure you have some baseline protection there. I wanted to, before I got into, the automobiles, I want to talk about just things that you own. The goods, because that's part of your homeowner's policy. Here's the easiest way, and I know this sounds so hokey, but it really does work, is we all have phones that have cameras and video cameras built in. You don't have to go and buy the big camcorder anymore.
Right.
Just go home and then just walk through your house while you're videotaping, and you can create essentially a visual record that will be accepted by your insurance company if something should ever happen, so you can document all the things you have. And even while you're doing it, I know when I've done this at my house, it sounds completely dorky. You're walking there and you scan like, 70-inch TV, sectional, just anything that you want to definitely draw attention to, that you want to, subwoofer, those type of things, you can give what you kind of remember paying for it. And that can at least create a visual record that you could help your insurance company, because there might come a time where you need to show at a day before, at a date before the incident occurred of what was actually in that room.
Sure.
What do you need to replace? And you're going to appreciate having that visual record, especially with all the cloud backup systems and everything else.
That's such a genius idea, because when I think about going through and having to chronicle all the stuff in my house, it makes me sleepy thinking about it.
Right.
But just walking through the video camera or a cell phone, That makes tons of sense.
Well, obviously, it's better if you have an inventory list.
Sure.
But I'm realizing most people not going to be that detailed in the weeds with it. So it's better if you at least have a visual record to give you a baseline of protection. Also, don't take for granted if you have a unique collection of some sort. Maybe you have, jewelry, you have a stamp collection, you have artwork, you have, all kind of other structures on the property.
Sure.
Make sure you know what you have and what's covered under the basic homeowners policy and what you might need to go buy an additional protection or rider policy on top of to keep those things moving forward. When you buy your insurance, here's some tidbits on the Money Guy tidbits to help you save some money. Should you buy from a broker or a captive agent?
Now, when you say captive agent, what does that mean, Brian?
A captive agent, and I'm not picking because you can still get decent products from these guys too. There's nothing wrong. But like your State Farm rep is typically a captive agent.
Meaning they sell insurance
State
for one
Farm
company.
products. Whereas a broker will have access to a whole product line from different, they might have travelers, they might have auto owners, they'll have different products. And that's not to say that you can't go talk to a captive agent and get a great deal, because truthfully, they probably, we have some of our health insurance and other things with captive agents because they offered some unique products that were very good on the health insurance or dental insurance. But I'm just telling you, if you think from a quantity standpoint, a broker is going to have access to more product lines. But, when you're doing your search, where to set deductibles. This is a big one. A lot of people are thinking, it wasn't long ago where everybody just said $1,000 or $2,500 deductibles. And that might be the case, especially here's the thing. Here's a case for why you won't hire deductibles is because what if, you were the type of personality that if your wife clips the side of the garage, you're not going to file a claim for the $300 fix to fix that. If you're the person, don't buy insurance that you're going to self-insure anyway. There's no way in the world because you don't get rewards for the quantity of claims you file on your homeowners or automobile. The goal is to keep your claims down as low as possible because they reward you for not using insurance. So if you think you're already going to self-insure, don't have the deductible so low that you're not going to file it anyway.
Sure.
Don't have a $250 if you know everything under $500. You just go self-insure and pay for it out of your own pocket. However, don't push it up to $2,500 or $1,000 if the premium difference is only saving you $25 a year. Because I think that's a big thing. So you need to go price it out with the lower deductible, the higher deductible, and then look at it from a common sense perspective. If you know there's a $500 difference in what you have to come out of pocket, but you're only saving $25 a year, that's going to take 20 years for you to make it up. So just use that common sense and say, well, maybe the lower deductible makes more sense for me then.
Yep.
So look at that. So let's talk flood insurance real quickly because there's been a lot of flooding and other things that are going on. And this actually it's not just by living by a creek or water we have to worry about. We have to worry about thawing, things thawing in the winter with snow. If you live up in the north and you have a lot of snow. If you live down the south, since I just picked on our northern neighbors with the thawing, if you live in the south and your neighbor has an above ground pool and that bursts and floods your basement, you might need flood. Your typical homeowner's insurance is, by the way, I can make southern jokes because we're in the south. You can tell by the accent, but I digress.
But I digress.
Anyway, but here's the thing is that your typical homeowner's policy is not going to protect you from floods. And a lot of people are unaware of that. And so I would tell you, at a minimum, you ought to assess your risk. I'm not telling you you need to go buy flood insurance. I don't feel like you can go to that level, but you at least need to go do the due diligence. And there's some great places you can go. You can go to floodtools.com. I went to this site. I thought it was really good in the fact that you could go and type in your address. It will show you all the different maps. So you can really, truly assess your situation, how close you are to the historic flood zones and all these other things. And then you can here's the cool thing, premiums, the government sets premiums through the National Flood Insurance Program, and they don't vary by company. So like Progressive does flood insurance. Right. But their premiums are going to be the same as the next insurance company because the government regulates what you can charge for flood insurance. So if you go to Flood Tools, or you can go and realize the coverage can only go up to $250,000 as part of the program for the national program. $250,000 for the structure, $100,000 for the contents, and it's if you're in a low to moderate zone, I think it's $499 a year is what it costs. The government has a website, but it's actually under reconstruction right now, so you can't use it. But in the past, it's had great information. It's floodsmart.gov. So right now, if you just want to use government resources, you go to FEMA.gov/national-flood-insurance-program.
So we'll put some links out there for you.
Yeah, we'll definitely go to moneyguy.com. We'll get you a link. But probably the easiest way in the beginning, just to give you a basic understanding, is floodtools.com is a great resource.